You can see the points on the graph, but we want to name the coordinates. Now, I already told you there's an infinite number of ways to write these coordinates, but let's see if we can follow these default rules that we're going to set up just for this class. Okay, so we want to use radians, we want to pick an angle between 0 and 2 pi, and then we also want to choose an r that's at least 0. Now just so you know, if r is equal to 0, that would be the exact center, okay? If r is anything bigger than 0, well then obviously that tells you how far you go from the center. All right, so point A. Now remember, when you write a point, it's going to be r comma theta. If you forget, theta is spelled like that, right? So if you forget the order, notice they're in alphabetical order. Just like x comma y is in alphabetical order. All right, so look at point A and count the rings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's my r. What is my theta? Pi over 4. Good. Point B, the r is 1, 2, 3. What is the theta? Well, remember, 1, 6, 2, 6, 3, 6, 4, 6. How can I write that?
2 pi over.
Okay, good. Point C, r is 1, 2. What is the theta? 1, 6, 2, 6, 3, 6, 4, 6, 5, 6, 6, 6, 7, 6, 8, 6. 8, 6 we can write as 4 pi over 3. Good. Point D. Notice r is 1, 2, 3, 4. And here's a tough one. What angle is that? 0. And there you go. Okay? So notice, as long as I'm following these default rules, okay, there's only one correct answer for each one. But if I take away those rules, then we could have infinitely number of answers. All right. So far, this is the easy part, just so you know. You're probably thinking, I could have done that when I was in 6th grade or something. Okay, maybe, but let's keep going and you'll see that it gets a little more challenging. Okay, let's see if we can convert. Okay? So it's almost like you know 2 languages, right? You know English, you know Chinese. So it's one thing to know a little English, it's one thing to know a little Chinese, but can you convert in between? Like if someone says something to you in Chinese, can you quickly say it in English? If somebody quickly says something in English, can you say it in Chinese? Well, that might be slightly harder, but you can probably do it, right? So that's what we're going to do with polar and rectangular coordinates. Now, first of all, look at these rules right here. This is actually the same thing we use for the polar form of complex numbers. Now, look at this picture. Okay? Now, whether or not you're on a unit circle, okay, in other words, let's say r is not just 1, you know that you could represent this distance as x, you could represent this distance as y, and we know that x is equal to r cosine theta. If you're not sure why, well then tell me this. In terms of the letters x, y, and r, what is cosine theta? Like when you first learned trigonometry, and you first learned what a cosine was, how did we define it? Anybody remember? It was like something divided by something. So if you have the letters x, y, and r, because think about it, this triangle has 3 sides, x, y, and r. Using those 3 letters, how can you define the cosine? X divided by r. How about sine of theta? Okay, good. Well, yeah, you probably forgot that, but that's actually how we first learned to define these 2 functions. Now, if you believe that cosine beta is equal to x over r, do you believe that x is r cosine beta? Well, yeah, you just solve for x. And if you take the sine of theta